Chapter 426, 142. The Desire Apostle, who had once worn Patrick Jason's skin, stopped in his tracks and looked around in bewilderment. Only now did he vaguely realize that danger was approaching. He was at the edge of a garden where the grass had withered due to winter and was revealing dark brown soil. On the right side of the street, there weren't many pedestrians on the weekday afternoon. At this moment, there were only a few people passing by, but they didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. Suddenly, a silver glint appeared in the eyes of the Desire Apostle, and a person decked out in full body armor emerged from the other side of the garden. The armor was stained with congealed blood diagonally from its left shoulder all the way down. It exuded a bewitching beauty and appeared to be extremely heavy. Every step it took slightly shook the ground. Upon seeing this blood-stained silver armor, the Desire Apostle felt as if he couldn't breathe properly, as if he had met his most terrifying nemesis. How are they here so quickly? They saw through my ruse so quickly. The Desire Apostle regained his calm and cold-bloodedness, fully focused on sensing the emotions and desires of the Beyonder inside the blood-stained silver armor. However, to his despair, the silver armor completely blocked his Beyonder powers. It was as if he had touched a rock, a piece of cold armor which had no one in it. The Desire Apostle had no choice but to raise his right hand, spreading out his giant bat wings and bringing with it some blue flames that rapidly condensed. At that moment, a silver light flashed from his right palm, and his thumb fell to the ground. The wound was extremely clean. Amidst swooshing sounds and a flash of silver light, the remaining 9 fingers of the Desire Apostle were severed. The suitcase he was carrying also fell to the ground with a thud. The Desire Apostle's pupils immediately contracted to a needle point, and he flapped the pair of huge bat wings on his back to escape in another direction. The shadow under his feet shrank back without anyone realizing it, hiding in one spot. The Desire Apostle had only taken 2 steps when countless silver lights burst out from his body like blooming fireworks. The thick black liquid that covered his body splashed to the ground like raindrops. His forearm, arm, shoulders, ribs, neck, and other parts of his body broke off and smoothly slid downwards. Splat, splat, splat. The pale, blood-stained intestines of the Desire Apostle splashed to the ground, along with his squirming stomach and his beating heart which had yet to cease. The place where he stood was where the blood was the thickest. The further he went, the more splatted it looked, which when put together, they formed a beautiful flower of death. A Sequence 5 expert, a Desire Apostle who had just completed an impossible assassination, was dismembered without any resistance. This was a Grade 1 sealed artifact. This was the sealed artifact that had caused over 100,000 people to lose their lives. Sealed Artifact 142. Dressed in that terrifying-looking armor, Leonard Mitchell struggled to take 2 steps forward, sized up the dismembered body on the ground, and raised his voice. He's not completely dead yet. He paused for a moment and then added, different devils have different characteristics. This Desire Apostle is a shadow shifter. He's just abandoned his own body, only leaving a shadow behind. While Soul Assurer Sost instructed a number of Nighthawks and members of the machinery Hivemind to keep ordinary people at bay. He surveyed the scene and listened to Leonard. He took out his pocket watch and opened it. He asked with a serious expression, "There's only 10 minutes left, is it enough? Don't force it." "No problem, 142 has locked on to him. I can sense its excitement," Leonard said without hesitation. Sost spread his red-gloved fingers and said to the other Nighthawks, "Bring hot water with you and follow Leonard closely. Once there are any problem, switch with him immediately and dig a bathtub on the spot. Also, leave marks. The other team members and I will quickly catch up." Tap, tap, tap. The blood-stained silver armor began running in pursuit. Despite looking heavy, it was incredulously fast. Sost watched as the few red gloves left before turning to look at Icancer. "Deacon Bernard, take the rest of the machinery Hivemind members to that house. Watch the Duke's guards and anyone else that's alive at the scene." "Watch," Icancer subconsciously returned with a question. Sost nodded seriously and said, "How can the Desire Apostle be able to determine that the Duke would be coming to this house today? to the point of precisely pinpointing the time, and then perfectly luring the spellsinger of God away. Ikansar was instantly enlightened. Are you saying that a member of the Duke's guards, or someone trusted by him, is a partner of the Desire Apostle? Otherwise, there was no way that his timing could be that perfect. The so-called operation wouldn't have any chance of success otherwise. It can only be said that this is the most probable cause. We cannot eliminate the assumption that the Desire Apostle has a powerful clairvoyant. Soest didn't continue as he led a second batch of Nighthawks and followed the marks to reinforce the teammates up ahead. With a calm face, he led the rest of the machinery, hive-mind, back to the house of the Duke's mistress. He looked up at the pale sun behind the thin fog and knew that the situation in the whole of Backland, and even the whole of the Lone Kingdom, or even the world, would change because of what had happened today. In the darkness of the sewers, a shadow was advancing rapidly in a particular direction while clinging to the bottom of the stone wall. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that the blood-stained armor was tall and heavy, making it inconvenient for him to move around in certain narrow areas of the sewers, thus allowing him to shake him off his tail. Every time the shadow moved a certain distance forward, it would stop, frozen in place. His pitch-black surface continued to swell and solidify as if it was trying to produce new flesh and blood, but due to a lack of materials, it failed miserably. The Desire Apostle let out a painful gasp, feeling that he could lose control at any moment in this state. After a short breather, he continued to run for his life, unable to afford the time to decrease the threat of the problem he faced. He was also afraid that the terrifying blood-stained silver armor would silently catch up with him. At the Quelog Club, Klein entered the lounge and took the newspapers to the toilet. He was afraid that the Desire Apostle would flee in advance, leaving potential danger for himself, Isengard Stanton, Kaslana, and the innocent private detectives. Therefore, he planned on heading above the gray fog to perform another divination to confirm the Desire Apostle's present situation, and thus adopt a targeted strategy. After repeating the previous process of replacing himself with a paper figurine, he sat in the seat of the fool, conjuring Jason Beria's handkerchief and trying to divine his current location. In the dusky dream world, Klein saw the dark sewers. He saw a living shadow and how his body seemingly appeared to fill itself with flesh and blood, only to constantly fail, as well as tiny black dust that kept being shed from his body. The scene climbed higher and arrived above ground, revealing a towering cathedral. Holy Wind Cathedral. Klein opened his closed eyes and understood the situation of the Desire Apostle. He hasn't been caught yet, but he seems to be heavily injured. His condition is in terrible shape and it's filled with abnormalities. His suitcase is gone too. It must have been dropped when he was injured. Klein thought for a moment. Using divination, he recalled the map of Backland and made it appear before his eyes. Similarly, he came up with a rough layout of Backland's sewers. Having previously made full use of the sewer system, he had always been gathering similar information such as this. The main focus was on East Borough, the Backland Bridge area, and the area where he was located in, Sherwood Borough. After some hard work, he had long completed the first stage of his plan of understanding the main layout of the sewer network. To have a more in-depth understanding of it would require an extremely long period of persistence. When the time came, Klein even thought of infiltrating Backland's municipal hall and directly sneak a peek at the design prints. According to the two maps and the scenes seen in the dream divination, Klein noticed that the Desire Apostle, Berea, hadn't fled in the direction of the Tussock River. Instead, he had taken the opposite route to Hillston Borough, as if he wanted to pass through and enter the artificial lake in Empress Borough. In other words, he's getting closer and closer to me. Klein's mind stirred as he suddenly had an idea. Although I'm not sure which sewer he'll pass through, I can make a judgment via divination. He's heavily injured and in a very strange state. His interference in this aspect has turned extremely weak. At close distances, it's not like I can't find him. After all, I've seen what he really looks like and I have a grasp of his aura. When it comes to finding people, I'm a professional. I have to do something. I can't let him escape just like that. There's still time. After confirming the degree of danger, Klein made up his mind and returned to the real world. He took out the candle, quickly set up a ritual, summoned himself, and responded to himself. Not long after, there was a figure in black armor, wearing a black crown and a cloak of the same color in the bathroom. It was Klein in his spirit body state while carrying the Black Emperor card. He also included mystical items such as the sun brooch and biological poison bottle, so as to ensure success. Then, he disappeared into the air and left the Kellogg Club in another direction. The current Klein could fly, so he was very fast, but he couldn't cause any wind because he was a spirit body. He scraped past a tree and took away a dead branch. Having seen Jason Baria's actual appearance before, together with his own memory and the handkerchief as a medium, Klein, combined with the layout map and the dowsing rod divination, quickly determined the sewer areas that Jason had passed. After entering the pitch-black and fetid area, Klein used his maximum speed to pass through a large number of narrow areas and entered a relatively spacious area. The dark river flowed, and a mixed smell filled the air. He would occasionally change his direction and chase after Jason Baria. The Desire Apostle nearly lost control again. He stopped and pressed himself against the damp walls and cold pipes, trying hard to rein in his bloodlust and his desire to kill. Pant, pant. The thin shadow started to move. At this moment, he suddenly turned his head to look at the spot he had just passed. The pitch-black armor and the black crown first entered his eyes, outlining an extremely imposing figure. Behind the figure, the weightless cloak lightly swayed as he moved forward. It's nearby. A body of heavy silver armor stained in blood went through the entrance and climbed down to the sewers.